I'm just looking around for more questions here. I know there's some people out on Stickum, some people on Facebook. Okay. And you can save really a lot of money by growing your own herbs, your own vegetables. And the way the economy is today, it's just good to know how to do this. It's a good way to save money. And in the wintertime, if you think about how high produce goes, you could have that right in your own backyard with a simple cold frame. Or if you want to get more extravagant, a tunnel house. Okay, new question. Any other apartment tips or tips for gardening in small spaces? If you're in a small space, I'm going to suggest a raised bed because you're going to get more out of that area than if you try to garden in the ground. You can control the soil, you can control the water, you can control the type of fertilizer that you use. I do not use fertilizer, I use compost. I'm completely organic here. Same thing with the container. You can control what is in that container. Because you have control over the soil and over the environment, you can actually grow more than what you could grow in just regular ground that has been unimproved. Grow lights are a great way to keep the plants growing. You want to start with the grow lights no more than 6 inches over the top of the plant because you don't want your plants to get leggy. The better light they get, the better the plants are going to do. And don't be afraid to grow things like tomatoes indoors. You can do that. There are many varieties of produce seeds that have been hybridized specifically for container gardening. These plants are going to be smaller than your standard plants of the same type. So don't be afraid to give it a try. Don't feel like you're limited. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming today and sending questions. Take out a new question. What are your favorite herbs to grow to use in your cooking? Well, sage, oregano, garlic, mints. I would say those are probably my top. I have quite a few herbs here, and I like to make spice blends. And here's what I do with my herbs. I go out early in the morning, right after the dew has dried, and I cut them. I take them inside, and I put them in my dehydrator. And I turn that on, and I dry them. I leave them whole. I don't take them off the stem. I don't crush them. When they're dried, I put them in half-gallon canning jars that are glass, and I put a lid on them. Set them in the pantry, labeled, because you want to keep them in a cool, dark place. And when I get ready to use my herbs, then I mix together what I want, and I crush them. You will not believe the difference in smell by doing it this way, because they are releasing those oils when you crush them. And if they sit in a jar, they're going to be just like the ones in the stores. Some of those herbs can be up to a year old. They're not usually very fragrant. And your oils, your fragrance tells you the strength of the herb. It's just really important to have fresh organic herbs to use. Is garlic hard to grow? Absolutely not. You can plant it in the spring, you can plant it in the fall. You dig a couple inches down into the ground, pop the garlic bulb in, and there you grow. I have garlic every place. I have garlic in my vegetable garden. I cut the scapes off, and I chop them off, and I put them in salt, and I put them in the fridge. Then I can wash the salt off the garlic scapes, and I can use them just like fresh garlic. I can also use the salt as garlic salt because it does absorb some of that flavor. I have garlic in my perennial garden. Garlic planted around fragrant plants, especially roses, will enhance the smell, the fragrance of the plant. Garlic is a good pest repellent. Garlic is very good for us to eat, whether we eat it raw or whether we use it as a spice in our cooking. And it is an absolute staple of my kitchen. I dry the extra garlic cloves and I put them in a glass jar and I crush them as I need them. Oregano is also a very easy herb to grow. My favorite is the hot and spicy oregano because I think it has more flavor than the other types. Just plant it in a good sunny location. You don't have to have real good soil. Although if you do amend your soil or put the oregano in a raised bed, it will do better. But it will do fine in, we have clay soil here in Indiana, and that's what I originally planted my oregano in, and I had plenty to cut and use in cooking. Really, all of the herbs are very, very easy to grow. They don't need rich soil, and they don't need fertilizer, just some nice soil to put them in, whatever soil you've got, and regular watering. Once they're established, they're usually pretty well drought tolerant. Mint can be invasive, so you may want to contain that. But I grow many, many varieties of mint: chocolate mint, apple mint, black stem peppermint, spearmint, pineapple mint, banana mint. They're just great to use in teas, desserts. Okay, and what should a beginner look for when picking out soil for a garden? First, I would suggest that you go to someplace in your area that sells soil in bulk. You can go to the store and you can buy soil in bags. And if that's your only option, then fine. But you need to look for a soil that is high in organic matter. You need to look for a soil that is very friable or loose. Because if the soil is going to compact when it gets wet, it's going to suffocate your plant roots. So feel the soil, look at the soil, ask what's in the soil. I like soils that are partly sandy, just because I feel like the roots can do better in that type of soil. It doesn't compact, and many, many times I will use pure compost. So start your compost pile. They are not smelly, not if you do them right. And even if you have to use your standard soil that's in your garden, amend it every year and your soil will improve. It won't happen overnight. It might take several years. But compost really is the black gold of the garden. How much should grow lights cost for indoor gardening? Well, you can spend anywhere from $20 up to several $100s. All depends on what you want and the type of light you buy. I use standard 4-foot fluorescent light fixtures that you would buy for a garage. I use one hot and one cool bulb, and the way you can tell the difference on the package, you will see colors. The reds, the oranges, the yellows, those are hot bulbs. The blues and the greens, those are cool bulbs. By using one bulb from each spectrum, you're giving your plants the full spectrum of light. You can go fancier and you can get halide bulbs. You can get grow lights that circulate the room on their own. You can do a lot. It just really depends on how much money you want to spend, but if you're just looking to get started, start with some fluorescent bulbs. Put them 6 inches away from the top of your plants, and your plants will do fine.